Get it, man. We're not talking about the
No,
Pro Bowl.
it was not.
We're just recapping the.
We were telling our stories while we were watching the Denver New England game.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin knows my hatred for the Pro Bowl. It's been a running gag for the last 12 years. I despise the Pro Bowl and everything about it. No one wants to watch a bunch of rich millionaires. Now it's the week before the Super Bowl, so it's even more half-assed of an effort. I mean, you got me talking about now. The entire New England Patriots team said they're not going. I don't blame them. Just give these guys a Pro Bowl ring, give them a bonus, and let's move on with our lives. It's a stupid, pointless game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I concur.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, no arguments here. So.
Just a trip to Hawaii and all.
Your thoughts about the two games this weekend? We just kind of was just talking about.
Well, just like when I busted in with my intro, it was two different games. One was a defensive battle. The other was extremely one-sided. There was something for every type of football fan last Sunday on TV. You had the right to the wire game, then you had the game that was pretty much over at kickoff. It was really, it reminds me kind of oddly in reverse of Denver and Seattle 2 years ago. Denver blew through the playoffs. The offense was almost unstoppable. And Seattle scraped and clawed with their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This year, Denver kind of got there on the back of their defense with two different quarterbacks. And they kind of willed themselves to where they're at now. Carolina was more of a buzzsaw. Like nobody has really came close to touching them all year.
No.
They remind me a lot of the 2000 St. Louis Rams, the way they score and the way they play.
Yeah.
It's going to be. It's going to, and living in North Carolina, the bandwagon here has gotten thick. It's almost irritating.
Let go Panthers.
Well, it's not that. I drive around with my big Tampa Bay Buccaneer sticker on the back of my car, and I don't really give a crap. But it's just almost irritating. Because if I just go into like a Walmart, if I look from week 1 to week 16, it's almost nauseating how thick the bandwagon's got around here. It really is. But I mean, it's.
Yeah, I met some Jazz fans at work that hate Carolina because I guess Carolina was one of the few cities that voted against Jacksonville not to get a football team. So that fan particularly.
Because they thought one redneck city was enough.
But one fan, he said, I can't stand Carolina. He's like, I hope they lose bad. He's like, I can't stand them. I'm like, really that bad? He's like, yeah, they voted Jacksonville not getting a team.
Let's look at the facts, man. This is me. Anyone like y'all both know me for over 10 years. I hate trends. I'm not a trendy guy. I hate fads. If something becomes a fad, I rally against it. And the dab is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen my entire life. And once you get, I hate to say it, but once you get to where old, middle-aged white women are doing it, it's time to stop. I hate the dab. I hated the dirty bird. I hated the mile-high salute. Enough's enough. Case in point, I went to a Carolina Hurricanes hockey game a few weeks ago. They had a competition. They had one of the more fan things at intermission where they give the fans like a prize, they get something right. These three women, my mother's age, won, and dad. Enough is enough, people. It's the stupidest thing in the world. And, I mean, not only that, they share a division with Tampa. It's kind of, I wouldn't want to, I mean, the game's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be Denver and Seattle all over again with Carolina playing the role of Seattle. Or it's going to be Denver and Green Bay where Peyton Manning single-handedly wills Denver to win. It's not going to be any other story behind it. Because Peyton Manning's already pretty much announced this is his last rodeo. If he wins the Super Bowl, I would not be surprised if he retired on stage that night a la Jerome Bettis.
Yeah. Be interesting. We'll go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
I'm kind of glad, though, if he does, because honestly, I was doing a little research last night, and there has not been a NFC championship game, or excuse me, an AFC title game not featuring Tom Brady or Peyton Manning since Ben Roethlisberger's Steelers won in 2009. So we're looking at almost 8 straight years the AFC title game has had one of those guys in it. So I'm ready for a different narrative in the AFC altogether.
So Indy, Denver, and New England have been.
Well, think about it. 2009 was Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and then
2010 was Indy.
Yeah.
11 was Pittsburgh, but they beat Indy on the way there.
Yeah.
2011 was New England.
Yeah.
2012 was Baltimore, but they beat New England on the way there.
Oh yeah, they're always there. It's
2013 was Denver, and 2014 was New England.
Yeah, it's always the same.
I'm going by the season, the 2014 season, 2015 Super Bowl. So someone wants to fact check me on that. That's all I'm getting. And this year again, it's Denver.
That's on you.
So if you think about it, it's time for a different narrative. I'm going to be honest with you. I waited for the hour-long recap on the the NFL Network to watch the AFC Championship game, just because I'm tired of seeing Manning and Brady there. It's time for a changing of the guard. The NFC has kind of established that with their hot shot up-and-coming quarterbacks. It's time for the AFC to get on that as well. If not, you're going to see a run of NFC-dominated Super Bowls like you did in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, we got an interesting thing we want to discuss here, John. I'm glad you're on the show now because NFL.com actually had a piece with top 10 players about a Super Bowl, and their list active players. Their list started off, and this is starting off with 10. Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Phillip Rivers, Jared Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Jason Witten, Calvin Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Joe Thomas, and DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware, Jared Allen will be off this list come Sunday, but they had honorable mention as far as the guys who barely missed the cut was Tony Romo, Steven Jackson, Frank Gore, Julius Peppers, and Antonio Gates.
All right, first of all, they're on crack if Tony Romo is no. I agree with Rivers. I'd actually put Phillip Rivers higher on that list solely due to the fact he's had so many chances. I mean, one year they were 14-2 and couldn't get the job done in the NFC Championship. He led the league in passing again this year. Rivers deserves to be higher. I would also consider putting A.J. Green, the wide receiver from Cincinnati, on that list.
Then you'd have to put Dalton on it.
No, you wouldn't.
They came in. They came in the same time. And
do you put Matt Stafford on that list because Calvin Johnson's there?
I don't even think you put Calvin Johnson on the list.
I could say yes for Calvin Johnson. The man had 1,800 yards receiving in a season. You cannot not put Calvin. Calvin Johnson's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
The way I look at the list, without a Super Bowl, I look at it as you've had to at least come close to even getting.
Well, see, I'm on the other side of that. I look if you've had a chance in the game and not won, a la Steve Smith, you shouldn't be on there. See, I look at the other way. You had a chance. Steve Smith had a chance in 2003. Who else was on the list that's been in the Super Bowl?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry
Fitzgerald had a chance in 2009.
Andre Johnson's been the one.
Johnson, no, he hasn't.
He went with the Colts when they lost.
Andre Johnson was in Houston.
Yeah. He was in Houston. He just now got to the Colts. Yeah, they've never made it. They ain't even come close.
What y'all feel about Steven Jackson, who actually made it to the postseason for the first time with the Pass this year as an honorable mention?
Steven Jackson is one of those players. I call it. He's got that Paul Gruber syndrome. Most people do not know who Paul Gruber is. Paul Gruber was a left tackle for the Bucs. First jersey number they retired after Leroy Selman. Mm-hmm. Went 5 years without a holding call. 5 straight years on it. Was called for holding 6 times his entire career. Wow. I read an article on him that said Paul Gruber is not known because he plays in Tampa Bay. If he was in Miami, he'd have been the 5 or 6 Pro Bowls. If he was in Dallas, he'd have been in the Hall of Fame. Steven Jackson's the exact same way. He was a Ram in the post-greatest show on turf years. He was an 1,800 total yards a season player. Steven Jackson, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer.
He was a stud.
Yeah.
Not the first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer. He sure as hell was better than Curtis Martin and Jerome Bettis, and they got in. So Steven Jackson definitely belongs on that list.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore?
Frank Gore been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I don't really think he was a product of the system. He's a solid running back. He was a good running back, but I don't think he was one of the greatest. Where's Andrew Luck on that list?
Not on there.
Yeah, where's Andrew Luck? I saw this floating around this morning when I woke up, or this afternoon when I woke up. Where's Andrew Luck? You mean to tell me Andrew Luck doesn't warrant being on that list?
Already, though? This early?
His neck. Big.
Yeah. Think about it. This is the first year he missed the playoffs. He was in the AFC Championship game last year.
Yep. And now he
Where's
AFC
Andrew Luck on that list?
A lot of people were talking about Luck like
the infirmary.
Like he's and I don't know why, but people were, and that's I guess what it is. What have you done for me now lately?
One bad year makes people go, ugh.
Yeah. That's what happened with him right now. People
one bad year. I mean, seriously, if that's the case, one bad year. What have you done for me lately? Why the hell does Tony Romo still have a job? Why did Mark Sanchez take snaps for Philadelphia this year if it's a what have you done for me lately league? Andrew Luck I would bump Steve Smith off that list and put Andrew Luck on there, even if it was at number 10, just because what he's done in a very short period of time. And honestly, while you're at it, Cam Newton, why is he not on the list? He's been in the league for 5 years. He had a 12-4 season 2 years ago with Carolina. Why is he not on the list?
I just think this list was for people that have been in for.
Well, I'd like to see the criteria.
What about Julius Peppers versus Jared Allen? That was a good debate on Twitter about those two.
Julius Peppers had a chance.
Yeah, he did.
He was there in 2003. He could have been there last year if Green Bay wouldn't have choked it away.
Jared Allen really has never had a chance.
Jared Allen could have been there in 2009 when the Saints beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
Jared Allen has always been, Julius Peppers has always been polarizing to me because it seems to me he's either feast or famine. He's either has a monster year. I mean, even his minimal years are great Pro Bowl worthy years, but he either has a J.J. Watt year or a Michael Strahan year. As anyone who knows me knows, I think Michael Strahan was the most overrated defensive lineman in the history of the game. But he's either all or nothing. But I would, if I had to give him the edge, I would really have to go to Julius Peppers on that one. Because Julius Peppers, you forget about Jared. I forgot Jared Allen was in the league until I heard he broke his foot. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he played for the Bears. He played for the Chiefs. He played for the Vikings.
It took me mid-season to realize that he played for the Panthers. I didn't even know that.
He didn't start playing for the Panthers until about week 4 of this season when they traded for him.
I didn't know until that commercial.
I was like, what?
That's Cam. I thought that was Greg Olson in that commercial.
No, there's another one with him
Allen,
in it for the military stuff.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's still playing.
Well, Kevin,
but I don't know. I mean, I've seen people like debating this on Facebook. And I think there needs to be a criteria because some idiot was arguing Odell Beckham. I'm like, he's been in the league for 2 years. Give him a reason. If that's the case, if Odell Beckham falls on the list, Gerald McCoy falls on that list. You know, there needs to be a criteria.
Yeah.
But I honestly think Phillip Rivers should be a lot higher than where he's at. He passed for 4,700 yards this year on a 4-12 club. Antonio Gates. Second greatest tight end, best tight end of our generation, not named Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we looked and dug, there's probably so many. What annoyed me the most is their skill positions. They're all skill positions. There's so many great offensive linemen that toil in obscurity that probably deserve to be on that list.
Yeah, the one they had, just the only one was Joe Thomas. The
tackle for the Browns.
Yeah, for the Browns.
Well, hell, what about Alex Mack, the center for the Browns?
Yeah.
You know,